Can you run a marathon with an autoimmune disease? Listen, 2 years ago, I could barely walk a block after suffering the worst lupus flare. I was hospitalized, I was weak, but today, I just ran 6 whole miles, y'all. 6 miles? And I'm running my first marathon. If you've been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, a chronic illness, or if you're just starting over on your movement journey, this is your blueprint. Here's what happened in my first month of training. I'm sharing with you the lessons learned for you to reach your impossible goal. Whether it's a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, or a full marathon, I'm sharing with you these steps so that you are ready. You got this. Hi, I'm Genny Mack. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, lupus warrior, and former fitness coach. And I love to move my body. I love strength training, I love dancing, but running, that really hasn't been my thing. I mean, I've done 2 half marathons, some 5Ks and a 10K, but I've never properly trained for them. And I remember after doing my last half marathon in 2018, I could barely walk for 2 days. So that wasn't smart training, and this is why I'm doing things differently. I have an actual running coach, a real plan, and I'm honoring what my body needs to meet this big goal. And after just 1 month, things are already completely changing. My body is in motion. I'm getting stronger. I have a deeper breath, and I see the possibilities. I'll break down all the specifics, but let me tell you why I'm doing this in the first place. 2 years ago, I could barely walk down the street. I'm walking to the store, enjoying moving my limbs, and starting new. I just got released from the hospital from a lupus flare, and I was in so much pain. I lost a lot of weight and muscle, and I could barely take deep breaths because of pleurisy and pericarditis, which is inflammation of the lungs and the heart. Now, inflammation has drastically calmed down. I've been doing so much to take care of my body, and with this marathon, I'm taking care of myself even more. I'm focused on staying out of a flare and improving my cardiovascular endurance and muscular endurance. Don't worry, I'll explain that to you. I'm running this marathon to show people that if you live with a chronic illness, you can dream big. What you have to do is take one intentional step at a time, and I'm showing you the way. Let's get into these lessons. Lesson 1, get medical clearance. Before you lace up those sneakers, talk to your doctor. I cannot stress this enough. Know your lab results, know where you are with your disease activity, and get your inflammatory markers assessed, because this is going to be an added load. We want to be safe. For me, that meant seeing my rheumatologist and getting clearance to be able to run while being diagnosed with systemic lupus and lupus nephritis of the kidneys. And my doctor's recommendation was to see a pulmonologist, a lung doctor, and I'm glad that I did, because I got a CAT scan done. We're getting a CAT scan done of the chest because we've had history of pleurisy, pericarditis, and we have some tightness when we try to take a deep breath. It almost feels like a constriction with my rib cage. So the rheumatologist said get a CAT scan, so did the pulmonologist. And we're here. I'll let you know how it goes. And it showed some inflammation in my lungs, some nodules, so we're working through that together. Once I get that medical clearance, I signed up for this marathon, y'all. And I am so excited to do this to represent us. I am committed, and that is the first step. Make that commitment for yourself, for your family, for your community. You got this. Here's the wild thing. A month ago, I could barely take a deep breath without feeling discomfort. But since training for this marathon, I could fill up my lungs again. and it feels so good in my body. This alone makes this journey worthwhile. I also saw a sports medicine doctor because I am training like an athlete, and he also recommended that I see a lung doctor and also see an acupuncturist. So I did acupuncture weekly, and already I've seen a drastic improvement with reduction of back and chest pain. I highly recommend. Lesson 2, set a plan and get a coach. Most marathon plans are anywhere between 16 to 20 weeks. My plan was 23 weeks out because I wanted to give myself more time to buffer having lupus and also to make sure that I showed up strong and safely. Past, I ran with zero structure. We already talked about running that half marathon and not being able to walk for 2 days. Didn't want that to happen this time. So I officially hired a run coach and a strength coach. My run coach is focused on my cadence, my pace, and assessing my energy levels.
Coach Gisela, you have finished the TCS New York City Marathon more than 20 times.
Shout out to Coach Gisela, 23 plus marathons and counting, and has been coaching the community for over a decade. Thank you. Now let's get into this strength, y'all. My strength coach is literally helping me get strong and helping me finish this race without injury.
This is perfect. Like, this is legit perfect. Again, I was mentioning too, when we first started doing this is the same exact position where people pull their hamstrings when they're running. And guess what? You're not, right? Because you're doing this. I know it sucks, but like, you're doing it.
So we're focused on a lot of lower body exercises, muscles that we don't think about in our feet, in our calves, in our ankle. That's very important to finish this race strong. Listen, y'all, here are 3 things that I learned to make this run work. You need organization, discipline, and trust. Organization is the plan. Stick to the plan. Discipline is that you show up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Good morning. Today feels like a hard day. We're on the 2nd day of our cycle and we're tired. I feel very sleepy, a bit of chest pain, and I have 6 miles today. But I decided that I'm gonna keep my heart rate in 50-60%. And if I have to walk more than I have to run, so be it. The key is we're out here doing the work. And trust is literally trusting the process, even when progress feels slow. Let's talk about my first training plan. Very simple. We had 3 runs on the schedule every week, 2 short runs and 1 long run, plus 1 strength training day. And my first interval workout was very simple as well. So 30 minutes of work, I walk for 2 minutes, and I jog for 1 minute. That was it. And that's how I got started. Another tip, I run as early as I can in the morning before the sun gets too hot and the UV index exposure is too high, because that can trigger an inflammatory response, especially people that have autoimmune conditions. So we want to avoid that. Maybe the nighttime works for you when the sun goes down. It's up to you. Lesson 3, your pace is your pace, not anyone else's. When I started working with my run coach, she said something to me that really stuck. She said, Jenny, you're training for this race for effort and not time. This is so important. Remember that, because when you turn on social media or the internet, you'll see people running for speed. And we're built differently. Like I mentioned, I'm battling lung and heart inflammation, so my cardiorespiratory endurance is different. And that's why that stuck with me, because I'm finishing this race based on effort. Before I started officially working with my run coach, I was excited. So I got outside on that track and I was literally walking a snail's pace, okay? I was walking / jogging 16.5 minute miles, but I was determined to show up, and I said, okay, let's get started. I'm gonna start where I'm at. And that's what you wanna do. Start where you are. Let's talk about pacing. Pacing and listening to your heart rate, extremely important. But here's the game changer. You wanna track your rate of perceived exertion. All right, think about it this way. From a scale of 1 to 10, a scale of 1 means that you're sitting on the couch, and a scale of 10 means that you're running like someone stole something from you. So you want to be in between that 80% of the time, right? So you want your rate of perceived exertion to be about a 5 or a 6. So you want your running to be built up to be easy. And I'm still working on that personally. So you want to be able to have a conversation 80% of the time of your run.
Felt so good. I finally have a good cadence. I can talk to you.
And then for the other 20% of your time, that's where you're training hard, right? Whether you're doing sprints or strides, right? You're gonna work with your coach on that. But 20% of your time, that's where you're pushing. And this is gonna build your aerobic endurance. And that's how well and efficiently your body uses oxygen with your lungs, your heart, and your muscle endurance. So training this way, which like I said, I'm still working on because I want to run hard and fast, right? So I got to learn to run slow and easy. And training this way builds your engine without overstressing your system, which is important for people that have autoimmune conditions. Another pro tip, get your playlist ready. I have mine synchronized to run about 175 to 180 beats per minute. So I'm listening to my rap, my hip hop, my R&B, even drum and bass, a little UK vibe. My husband loves it. And that helps me with my cadence and maintaining a consistent pace. Right now, I'm between a 14 to 16 minute mile pace, which I'm still trying to push through. And I know my rate of perceived exertion is a little bit too high. I need to bring it down a bit so I'm in that 80% zone. I want to finish this race feeling strong, not defeated. Lesson 4, form matters. Form is everything, y'all. Last year when I ran that 5K, my hips were dropped. My stride was too long and I was pushing past my limit. Now I focus on running tall with my legs just under my hips so I'm not overstriding. And I'm practicing nasal breathing
And through the nose.
to improve my oxygen use. So again, my cadence is around 175 to 180 beats per minute. But when I think about my heart rate and my rate of perceived exertion, when I cross that 170 threshold of my heart rate, I'm slowing down. That perceived exertion is about an 8 or 9, and I am burning too much energy. Remember, I want to be running easy in that 80% zone. We want to be running easy in that 80% zone. I'm telling myself, and I'm telling you too. Slowing down, that's smart training. Remember, we're in this for the long run. Lesson 5, fuel like an athlete. Now, nutrition is my wheelhouse. But training for a marathon, it takes nutrition to the next level. First off, let me give you the core principles. Eat whole foods first. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there eating junk, and the running industry has become commercialized. And I want you to focus on eating whole foods, real foods to nourish your body. Don't get caught up in all of that nonsense. First, focus on nutrition and hydration. When your immune system is compromised and you're adding junk food to the mix, it's causing the body more inflammation. Remember, we want to focus on hydration and nourishment, not fighting inflammation. Now, here's the lessons when it comes to eating whole food nutrition. We need energy. We're burning calories, right? So we need simple carbohydrates. I'm gonna go for the white rice, the white potatoes over the processed pastas and the pizza. We want to keep it clean. Our body needs glycogen repair, but we don't want to cause inflammation in our bodies. So eat the whole foods. Body also thrives on complex carbohydrates. That's your whole foods, right? Your grains, your sweet potatoes. So we have millet, for example, brown rice, quinoa, teff, amaranth. You want to go for those complex carbohydrates to not only give you the fuel, but to give you the fiber and the other minerals that your body needs for energy. Now, if you want energy before a run, eat a banana. That has potassium too. Or maybe you need something a little bit more dense. Overnight oats. You want quick energy for a run? Choose a date.
I ate half a date snack filled with peanut butter, Brazil nut, 3.82 miles. Let's say we're halfway through. We only had to do 5. We out here in these summer streets in New York. Let's see.
Pick that over an energy gel. You see the difference?
We did it.
Listen, I'm trying to eat like the Kenyans. They're fueling clean with whole foods. Same goes for electrolytes. Okay, they have these packets in the market. You got your Gatorade, you got your energy drinks. Keep it simple. Get your electrolytes from food. One of my favorite combinations is watermelon juice, cucumber juice, coconut water, a little bit of sea salt, some honey, lime. That's the electrolytes that we need, sodium, potassium, magnesium, for example, to rehydrate our bodies. We want to eat our fruits and vegetables, right? We want the colors for the minerals, leafy greens for the vitamin K, for healthy joints and bone health. Eat the rainbow, my friends. And since I'm burning about 1,000 calories, especially on long run days, I want to make sure that I'm eating enough. So my baseline caloric intake is about 1,800 calories. When I'm running, when I'm training, I'm getting up to 3,000. But again, I'm eating whole food, right? So I'm prioritizing protein. My favorite plant proteins are tofu, tempeh, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds. But when it comes to animal-based protein, I eat eggs, sardines, mackerel for that omega-3 to reduce inflammation, bison, and then I'm including healthy fats into the mix. Avocado, again, your nuts and your seeds, olive oil, and then you want to make sure that you're eating the rainbow. After each run, I'm fueling my body with an anti-inflammatory smoothie packed with wild berries and adaptogens. Adaptogens are going to help your body adapt to stress and calm inflammation naturally. If you want more details on what I eat in a day while training for a marathon, living with an autoimmune condition, let me know in the comments and I'm happy to share this with you. Lesson 6, recovery is training. Now, recovery is where you're going to start to see the gains. Your body needs time to replenish. So sleep is essential. We need at least 8 hours, sometimes 9 or 10, but we're going to focus on the foam rolling, the stretching, right? We want to reduce that inflammatory response, but get rid of that lactic acid and reduce the muscle soreness. We also want to focus on other modalities if you can. I like to incorporate magnesium, and I take Epsom salt baths, right? Just to feel good in my body, reduce muscle soreness and pain. I also like to treat myself. So I go to a wellness center and I get sauna therapy, which is going to support the lymphatic system, right? The lymphatic system is going to help the body detoxify. I also like to do compression boots, which is going to reduce some of that muscle fatigue and that inflammation in the legs. But I know that's a premium service. That might not be in your budget. That's when you could do an Epsom salt bath, put your legs up on the wall. Go for a walk, do some stretching, but focus on recovery. Y'all, there are days when I'm like, how the hell am I gonna train tomorrow? I don't feel good, right? I'm tired, I'm sore. but somehow I do it. And that goes back to my earlier message. I know it's because of the organization, the discipline, and the trust. So we're organized. We have a plan. I don't want to disappoint myself or my coach. So I'm going to show up. And I have discipline, right? Because I committed to this process. That's it. I'm committed, so I'm going to show up even when it feels impossible. And I trust the process. You got to believe in the process. Lesson 7, get fitted for proper sneakers. This is so important because it's going to help you on your running journey. You want to make sure that you visit your local sneaker store. They probably do this assessment for free, but this is called a gait foot assessment, and it's going to tell you a lot about how your feet work, but also how you run.
How many of your clients come in and try on sneakers with dresses?
Not often. How do those feel? Better than those. See?
These might be, when you know. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad I got a full gait assessment because, wow, I learned so much about my feet that I didn't know before. Turns out I have very narrow feet, but also flat feet with a mild supination, which means that my feet roll out to the side a little bit when I'm running, right? So that's going to create an imbalance, and that imbalance runs up to my joints, and then that causes the knee swelling, especially on my left knee. And since I got this gait assessment, I got fitted for the proper sneakers, right? So before that, my sneakers were too small. I didn't have the right arch support. Got fitted for the proper sneakers, sized up, got the arch support. Now I could run with stability, and I have less knee swelling. It makes all the difference. Listen, you could buy a new pair of sneakers, but you can't buy new knees. Lesson 8, track what matters. I track a lot of metrics, and this is going to tell you how you're progressing with your running. So we talked about heart rate, rate of perceived exertion. You also want to track your caloric intake, your pace, and your mileage, of course, but any swelling, anything else that concerns you about your autoimmune condition, you want to track that. You also want to track VO2 max. VO2 max is a good indicator on how you're building your endurance. The higher it is, the better your heart, your lungs, your muscle, and your body is working more efficiently. For anyone with an autoimmune condition, this is a huge marker because it tells you how well you're building your endurance without overtaxing your system. And when I first started training, my VO2 max, which you track on your Apple Watch, by the way, using your health app, it was below average. That went along with my symptoms. I was having trouble with expanding to a full breath, right? But since I started training and since this past month, my VO2 max is now above average, okay? So I'm celebrating those wins. Also, you want to track your recovery. Remember, recovery is training. So I make sure to put the sauna, compression, Epsom salt bath, stretching, foam rolling, that's on the calendar too, because again, recovery is where we're going to start to see gains in the body. This is going to help the body bounce back so that we can show up strong on the next run. And then another one, and then another one. You get it. My number one rule, if my heart rate reaches above a certain threshold, right, 175 beats per minute, that's really pushing it. I'm going to stop and I'm going to start walking so that it could come back down. My other rule of thumb is if I'm swelling, I'm going to ease up on my training, and I'm going to remind myself that that is okay. I can try again tomorrow. Here's my biggest flex, y'all. I haven't missed one day of training this month, and I'm carrying that consistency into next month training. We got to celebrate the win. So 1 month is down. We have 18 more weeks to go. And there is so much to celebrate. I have more energy, less inflammation, less knee swelling. The back and the chest pain have gone down. Win, win, win. If you're living with an autoimmune disease or starting fresh, This proves that you can train differently, with intention, with boundaries, and with the right support. And there you have it, my top 8 lessons learned in just my first month of training for my very first marathon. I hope you found this video useful, and I also hope that you're inspired to commit to that impossible goal. Whether it's a 5K, a half marathon, or a marathon, commit to it. Get support. Get the right assessment and know that you can do it. I'm excited about this journey because I'm seeing tremendous results and I'm just getting started. I'm excited for what's to come and I hope you can join me on this journey. See you in the next video, Glow Getters.